Hi, everyone. Welcome to Atrium Research's YouTube channel. Atrium Research is an equity research firm based out of Toronto that provides institutional quality research on a variety of industries from metals and mining to consumer, energy, and many more. We also write thematic research on a variety of interesting themes, which can all be found at our website at atriumresearch.ca. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Rients Van Der Wal, co-CEO, and John Rathwell, Senior VP of IR and Corp Dev at Organto Foods. Organto trades under the ticker OGO on the TSXV Venture. We recently initiated coverage on Organto back in May with a buy rating and a 20-cent target price, setting the successful transition to a asset-light business model, their diversified platform, strategic acquisitions, and experienced management team. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Nicholas.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So Rients is going to kick it off with a quick review of the company's deck and company overview, and then we'll jump in with some questions as well.
Sounds good. Thank you. Organto at a glance. We're a fast-growing, healthy foods platform focused on value-added, organic, and non-GMO fruit and vegetable products. We're a growth platform. We operate an asset-light business model, meaning we don't own farms, we don't own manufacturing assets. We're everything in between. We add value, we connect growers to markets, we add value, we repack, we brand, and we do that for 170 customers across 21 countries in Europe, with product sourced from supply partners from 5 continents. We do that as close from home as we can, and we go as far as we need to in order to offer a year-round sustainable and healthy offering. We have a diverse and flexible product offering. We are focused on organics. We also do non-GMO. We do private label concepts for our retail partners, and we're focused on branded distribution as well. We're the proud owners of the Homogenic Brand. That is our premium organic brand. Awesome Fruits, a mid-tier non-GMO brand, and Oro, recent addition, a premium non-GMO brand as well. We have a proactive acquisition strategy. We have an active pipeline of opportunities, and I think the biggest asset that we have in the company is the experienced team that we have in place. We are value added from farm to fork. We initiate growing programs with our suppliers. We plan it together with them, provide them technical support. We run the supply chains. We create efficiency and control there. We process the product where we see the value add. We brand it in, again, our 3 brands that we have, but also in private label retail concepts, and we distribute it out to our customers. Again, 21 countries, over 170 customers that we serve. We serve retail, we serve out of home, we serve food service and online segments. Our value add is that we have growers or boots on the ground with our growers. We know what we talk about. We're not the growers ourselves, but we provide them technical support on the growing side. We assist them with certifications. We add services when it comes to planning. And of course, we are very much focused in the agri-tech as well, because we see massive developments on that side. We run the supply chain. If you don't control the supply chain, you cannot match the product to the markets. And Mother Nature has its own dynamic. So for us, it's very important to have control over the supply chain to mitigate shortfalls or to be able to place increases in production very well. We take full ownership of the inventories of the products. And then when we receive it here in Europe, we're strategically located in the Netherlands, where we are very close to the 2 main ports, or actually the 3 ports for that matter, Rotterdam Port, Antwerp Port, and also Hamburg Port. The advantage of the Netherlands is the very strong infrastructure and logistical network that we have here. So in that sense, we are able to serve the full European market from these entry points. And again, on the brand side, our premium pride is the Homogenic brand. Awesome Brand is a mid-tier non-GMO. The OGO brand is a premium non-GMO brand as well. The Homogenic brand utilizes our digital passport technology, in which consumers, through a QR code, in itself nothing innovative, but through that QR code, we bring consumers into a full digital passport where they get access to the full traceability of the product. They can really connect to the grower. The grower has a face. The supply chain has a full routing in it. It has carbon footprint offsetting in it. It has nutritional facts in it. What does it for you as a consumer? It puts inspiration to it in the various ways in how you can consume something. It basically really makes that full connection between a grower and a consumer. Our mission is making organic fruit and vegetable products available for every consumer. We believe that healthy food should not be a niche, but it should be available for everybody. We're in transition when it comes to our food. And we are very much proud and happy to play a role in making that transition happen. Our purpose is to bring healthy and nutritious organic fruit and vegetables to our markets. Our vision is to be a leading provider in doing this, utilizing an integrated business model. That's where, again, that control over the source and the supply chain comes back, and driving equitable returns for all parties in the value chain. If we cannot make sure that everybody makes a good living from the supply chains that we create, they're not sustainable. And if we don't look after the planet, it's also not a sustainable approach. So that's very high in our vision. Our values are to work together as a team. Again, asset-light, people are our biggest asset. To honor and respect our customers. Again, in the end, if the customers don't consume our products, the business model is broken. It's to honor the supply chain partners. We always say that if a supply chain has 13 steps in it, you can do 12.9 right, but if you miss the 0.1 step at the final part, it still hasn't worked. So we really have to honor and respect everybody in the supply chain, and of course to respect the world we live in, and to do what's right for long-term sustainability. Our business is well positioned in healthy eating categories. We're serving fast-growing, healthy and sustainable food categories. There's a growing consumer focus on health and wellness. Organic and non-GMO fruit and veggie categories are growing. People are more and more aware about what they are consuming, when they are consuming. You are what you eat. That's what you put in your body, but what does it really do for you? And also, how can you look back in what kind of supply chain do you support? How does it impact the people that are working in that supply chain, and what is the impact for the planet and the environment? We're a global operating platform. Again, we have boots on the ground, 5 continents. We try to be as local as we can, and it's interesting to make that a bit tangible. So you see on the left side of this page, bananas. Bananas is one of our key categories. Bananas don't grow a lot in Europe, so we go overseas for the bananas. I think we have a very interesting and a very high sustainable performing supply base of bananas. touching the highest ranges of environmental and social certifications. And we, at the same time, we also source products from Dutch and Spanish and Italian growers that we bring to our customers. So as local as we can get it to overseas as well. We try to do that, of course, as efficient as possible. It's an asset-light business model. We have the luxury in the Netherlands to really use the infrastructure that is there around the ports, around the warehouses, to repack in a flexible model where we can cater our capacities to the demands and the needs that we have. And in that way, we make the optimal connection between our growing projects and the consumers. We try to diversify as much as possible with regards to the product offerings, going for the highest tiers in terms of sustainability, but also offering healthy products at very affordable prices as well within retail. And in that sense, we're trying to capture the broader scope of the market opportunities that we have. Our long-term growth strategy, it's I think quite well captured in this slide. It's building a differentiated, ethics-driven one-stop shop in value-added organic specialty fruit and vegetable products. And how do you do that? What are your core strategies? It's build supply, which is our product offering. It's build our brands and build the infrastructure in order to execute on bringing the supply and the brands into the markets that we serve. And of course, on one side, we do that through organic growth, and on the other side, we do that in combination with a acquisition growth strategy as well. What we see is that the sweet spot in which we operate is that the global demand for healthy eating is growing. The awareness of consumers is very much there. It's in transition, moving from, well, in certain categories, it's moving from a niche to mainstream. And in other categories, it's already much more advanced in that development. And I think with that scale that we are able to create, both on the supply chain or on the supply side and in the supply chain and in the market side, we're able to meet that target that we have in making it available for everyone. Because there's also, of course, a cost component in making that organic fruits and vegetables available for everyone. And we believe it's very much around scaling. I think it's interesting to look here as well a little bit, because I think it shows quite well in how we differentiate. I touched already on the branded segmentation side. We do basically the same thing when it comes to the markets that we serve. The European market is in itself quite spread out, of course. It's not that while entering one market, you enter a very large market, excluding some of the bigger markets in Europe. But you really have to cater your offering to the specific markets that you target. Every country has its own dynamics and has its own approach again. That's one way in how we segmentate the European market. We also, of course, do that on the customer side. We have online retail. That's a segment where we do see a lot of pressure at the moment through inflation. Bricks and mortar retail is, of course, the biggest segment that we serve. Convenience to go is a very much interesting segment in development, where you normally saw in to-go formats quite a lot of unhealthy foods, to be honest. There's a growing demand for healthy fruit snacks and other concepts. And we think that's a very interesting segment to grow. On the European side, it's a segment where also a lot of our retail customers are active. So in that sense, it's also interesting to make the step over from bricks and mortar retailer into convenience formats as well. And of course, we also work through distributors. This gives you a little bit of an idea on the product portfolio that we deal with. As I indicated earlier, bananas and tropical fruits are the biggest category that we have. So it's banana, avocado, and mango. It's tastemakers. Under tastemakers, we group our fresh cut herbs. We group mushrooms, very interesting category where I think we will learn as consumers a lot more about in the near future around all the applications and all the health benefits that they bring. And it's in ginger and turmeric. Ginger, of course, being a very big driver of organic growth as well in the European market. And the last category for us is veggies. And on the veggie side, you need to think about asparagus and beans and peas. I think this is interesting to take a pause with. It's our Homogenic brand. Again, the positioning is very much focused on the full organic concept, with basically everything that we can offer at its highest level in terms of sustainability, in terms of the requirements we put to our growers and to our supply chain. It's the best of the best that we have to offer. It's also where we go the furthest with our branding and our technology support. It's also where we take all the steps in 360 support when it comes to our customers, our retail customers, or out-of-home points of sale. And it's where we really focus on trying to give the best experience for consumers in the premium organic segment. Awesome is a great segment where, or a great branded positioning where we put non-GMO fruit in the mid-tier. Very interesting in today's world where there's consumers with a little bit less money to spend, but still being able to offer them a very healthy and good product. Third brand that we add is a premium non-GMO fruit brand as well, which we have recently launched as well with a retail partner of ours in Austria. This gives you a little bit an idea of the Homogenic side and the presentation that we give to consumers. Just picture you're walking through a store, you see a product, it has a QR code on it. You scan the QR code, and through the QR code, it brings you into a digital passport, and really in an accessible and fun way, give a consumer background on the product. Who is the grower? How did the product go from origin to the place where I'm purchasing it right now? What is my outfit? Which means is how am I packed? Again, we try to use as minimal packaging materials as possible to really minimize the footprint. But you got to take in account that in certain cases, packaging will actually be very beneficiary of the footprint because you basically enhance its shelf life. And then basically through this first page, if you want as a consumer, there are multiple pages behind where you can obtain much more information around the product, how to consume it, and the benefits for you as a consumer. Our sustainability goals really align with today's consumer demands, but also really align with the big corporate retailers that we serve. We're focused on wholesome foods, make the planet and its people healthier through our healthy products and sustainable practices. Social impact through ethical value chains. I touched on it as well a little bit earlier in this presentation. If we cannot take care of the supply and value chains, it's not sustainable. Everybody has to be able to do well in that supply and value chain in order to create that long-term sustainability of the value chain. It's to protect the employees of our growers, the people working on the farms, and it's all through sustainable and fair practices and processes. And of course, there's a lot of certification that we have in place in order to validate those aspects as well. Environmental impact and waste reduction. We believe that one of the biggest items that we think should be much higher on the agenda is food waste. Of course, there's already a lot of discussion around a carbon footprint of a product, and if you really dive a little bit deeper into that, you will find out that the components of logistics and the components of packaging are actually quite important to look at. But if you look a little bit further and you take a look at food waste, whether that waste takes place at the farm, in the supply chain, or specifically even in a consumer fridge, at a consumer home, the impact of that to the carbon footprint is very big. And we have picked that up as a big item to focus on, to try to reduce food waste in the supply and value chain as well. Transparency and traceability, extremely important. It's to know when you buy a product where it's coming from, if it's respectfully produced, to see on how the product was brought to you. So we really believe that full transparency throughout the whole supply chain is a very important item. And that is also an element where today's technology are providing us with more and more interesting opportunities to focus on. I think, Nicolas, that's a good overview of the company. Also looking a little bit at the time that we have. So maybe it's good to focus on some questions.
For sure. Thank you for that. So maybe let's kick it off with a bit about NFG. So you guys acquired them earlier this year. So can you give us a little update on how the integration is going and what kind of synergies you're seeing?
Yeah, so we acquired NFG in January 2023 this year. I think the interesting part around NFG is that with the acquisition of B-Organics that we did in 2021, we entered already the organic banana segment. B-Organic was really focused on a yellow banana, a fully ripened concept into specialty organic retail stores within Europe. So really a niche player with a lot of experience, already 15, 20 years in the industry. The interesting part about the new fruit group is that it shares some of the supply base that B-Organic also has. So that's already the first part where we can create a lot of synergies, because we have increased our buying capacity in certain origins. Bigger volumes means that you can go for bigger advantages in your supply chains, because it's all about economies of scale. We have also moved up on the ladder with those suppliers in terms of importanceness. But I think it's really interesting that if you make the connection between making organics available for every consumer, the interesting element is that New Fruit Group is really active in the mainstream retail segment. And if you look at Europe, Europe has a couple of key organic markets in terms of size and in terms of development as well. And the German market is very important in that aspect. NFG serves the top 3 German retailers. It's still very much with single product lines that they serve them, but they have a very strong reputation already with those retailers. And I think the interesting part is in the combination of that. Of course, in terms of integrating, it's relatively still a short time that we have been together. What we found out already in the discussions, that the culture and the DNA of the team working in the NFG, in the New Fruit Group, really aligns with us, and I think that's a massive important starting point, because if you can't work together, it's not easy. But the team has integrated already very well. We're integrating on the supply side. We're bringing our branding, like the Homogenic brand, we're bringing into the new fruit group. The OGO brand is a brand that we have acquired with NFG. So that's something that we're putting again back into the group. We see a lot of interesting developments in further scaling the banana business that we have, but also very much in the mango segment, where NFG is also a specialist.
Okay, right on. Thank you. And maybe staying with OGO, tell us a bit more about the brand launch and why that was the strategic rationale you guys used to kind of round out the brand portfolio.
When we talk about the OGO brand, I think the interesting part is that as a business, when you connect growers to the markets that we serve, you can't close your eyes for two things. And those two things are, on one side, inflation. So simply consumers have a little bit of less money to spend. That's one element. And the second element is that organic production is still in development. So also to be able to offer to growers that are in transition, to offer them a premium brand that allows them to have a good access to the market while they are in transition, or while they are scaling up the certification levels of their non-GMO production, we think is a very interesting offering. In the end, if you interact with retailers, they will ask you not only to service them with the premium, but they ask you to really do the full category. So they want a premium high-end organic offering, they want a mid-tier offering, and they want a lower-tier offering. And I think with the positioning that we have in our brands, you can see that same positioning, where we have Homogenic as the high-end, mid-tier, awesome for non-GMO, and a premium oral non-GMO brand as well. So the combination of the brands really gives the strength. It's either in the market or on the supply side.
Perfect. Okay, right on. So I think that's all the time we have. So Rients and John, thank you for walking us through the deck and answering a couple of our questions. We're looking forward to following the story and seeing what you guys can post through the upcoming quarters as NFG gets integrated, and see what other strategic acquisitions and initiatives you guys can put forward. So for all our followers who haven't seen our research on Organto, you can find it all on our website, atriumresearch.ca. And again, gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Nicholas.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you.
Thanks.